long before the first flicker of human consciousness, long before our earliest ancestors even dared to dream, the world belonged to the giants. These weren't just tall beings, they were living, breathing mountains, their forms so colossal they scraped the belly of the sky. Imagine a world in its infancy, a wild and untamed planet where the very earth itself was still settling. It was in this primordial landscape that the first giants took their first steps. Where did they come from? The oldest stories, whispered on winds that have long since died, offer different truths. Some say they were sculpted from the planet's earliest, wettest clay, given life by the slow, powerful heartbeat of the world itself. Their skin was the color of rich soil and riverbeds. Their eyes held the depth of ancient stones. Others believed they were forged in fire, born from the explosive hearts of volcanoes. They emerged from rivers of lava, their bodies cooling into craggy, unstoppable forms, embers still glowing in the chasms of their skin. Whatever their origin, their impact was undeniable. They were the world's first architects. A single footstep could press a new valley into the soft earth. When they dragged a hand across the land, they carved the paths that would become the world's great rivers. The Amazon, the Nile, the Yangtze. These were but scratches left behind by their passing. The nascent animal kingdom looked upon them not with fear, but with a profound sense of awe. To the creatures of this young world, the giants were not monsters. They were gods of stone and soil, as natural and essential as the sun and the rain. Their lives were a symphony of immense scale. For sustenance, they didn't graze on fields. They consumed entire forests of ancient, colossal ferns, stripping the land clean with a few casual bites. Their very presence influenced the weather. Storms would gather round their towering shoulders, lightning crackling between their stony fingers as they reached for the clouds. When they moved with purpose, the ground trembled. What we would call an earthquake was simply the reverberation of their every stride. They were a part of the world, and the world was a part of them, living in a raw, powerful harmony that we can barely comprehend. They were the children of a wild, young planet, and for a time, they knew nothing but this perfect, gigantic existence. But the one force that even a giant cannot command is time, and the slow, grinding gears of destiny were already beginning to turn, preparing to reshape their world and their very being. As millennia passed, the Earth's climate began to shift. The lush, green world of the first giants slowly gave way to a new, brutal epoch, the Ice Age. Glaciers, like frozen tidal waves, crept down from the poles, swallowing continents and transforming the landscape into a vast, glittering expanse of white. The old world was dying, frozen beneath miles of ice, but the giants did not die with it. Their once earthen skin was now covered in thick, shaggy fur, a dense coat that insulated them from the relentless, razor-sharp winds that howled across the frozen terrain. Their bodies became stockier, their muscles denser, built to withstand the crushing cold and the unforgiving environment. These were not the gentle shapers of valleys anymore. They were hardened survivors, hunters of the ice. Their prey was as immense as they were, the great woolly mammoths that roamed the glacial plains. A hunt was an earth-shaking event. You would hear it before you saw it, the thunderous, rhythmic booming of their strides echoing for miles, followed by the trumpeting roar of a mammoth, a sound that could freeze the blood. In this world of ice, they built fortresses of ice. They would carve out immense shelters from the glaciers themselves, creating crystalline caverns that refracted the pale light of the winter sun. These ice fortresses were their sanctuaries, protecting them from the worst of the blizzards that raged for weeks on end. When a storm rolled in, even the sky seemed to bow before their massive silhouettes, the swirling snow parting around their unmoving forms as they stood sentinel over their domain. They were the first pioneers of this frozen wilderness, carving paths through impenetrable walls of ice, creating routes that later life would follow. It was during this age that their paths first crossed with a new, clever, and fragile species, early humans. The relationship was complex. Some clans of giants, perhaps remembering their ancient role as stewards of the land, became protectors. They would shield the small, shivering tribes from the worst of the cold and the most dangerous of the Ice Age beasts. Their presence a guarantee of safety. Legends of benevolent mountain men or gentle giants might trace their origins back to these protective titans. But not all were benevolent. Others, hardened by the brutal cold and the constant struggle for survival, ruled their icy kingdoms with stern, unyielding pride. They saw the small, scurrying humans as little more than pests or, at best, subjects to be ruled. Their roars of dominance would echo across the endless, silent tundra, a declaration that this frozen world belonged to them and them alone. It is from these formidable beings that our legends of frost giants, the fearsome, powerful rulers of winter, were likely born. In this age of ice and snow, their strength was absolute, unmatched by any other living creature. The battles they fought, either against the monstrous beasts of the era or against each other for territory, were events of mythological proportion. The clash of two Ice Age titans could shatter glaciers, redirect frozen rivers, and leave scars on the landscape that would remain for thousands of years. After the ice finally retreated, the great sagas of northern mythology, filled with epic battles between gods and giants that shake the foundations of the world, may not be mere fantasy. They may be the distant, fragmented memories of a time when titans of the Ice Age walked the earth, their struggles and their triumphs shaping the very bedrock of our oldest stories. The ice held their kingdom, and their legacy was etched into its frozen heart. Imagine journeying deep into the heart of a primordial forest, a place untouched by time. Here, hidden in plain sight, live the forest giants. These aren't your typical storybook giants. Their bodies are living ecosystems, covered in thick bark, soft moss, and a network of intertwined roots. Their skin isn't skin at all, but layers of living wood, a natural armor stronger than any steel forged by man. They move with the help of long, flowing vines that act as their muscles, wrapping around their limbs and granting them a quiet, immense strength when they stand still. They are utterly indistinguishable from the ancient trees that surround them. How do such creatures communicate, not with words, but with deep, resonant creaks and groans that echo through the woods? It sounds like the shifting of old trees in a strong wind, but it's a language slow, wise speech that commands the respect of the entire forest. When a forest giant speaks, the trees themselves seem to lean in, their leaves rustling as if listening to the ancient wisdom of their guardian. These giants are the gentle protectors of the woods. Forest animals feel no fear in their presence. Squirrels might scurry up their bark-like skin, and deer follow their slow, deliberate footsteps. Knowing they are safe, the giants are caretakers, using their massive, root-like hands to nurture young saplings, clearing space for them to reach the sun. They encourage new life, helping forests reclaim land where life has faded. Their connection to nature is so profound that even the weather seems to obey them. It's said that when a violent storm rages, it will often quiet down in the presence of a forest giant. The wind and rain respecting the living pillar of strength standing firm against the gale. Early humans who encountered these beings didn't see monsters, they saw spirits. They believed these giants were the ancient protectors of nature's delicate balance. And it's easy to see why. Legends tell of flowers blooming spontaneously in their footprints, the very ground rejuvenated by their passing. They were symbols of life and growth. But what happened to them? The stories say that as humanity's destructive habits grew, the forest giants retreated. They sought refuge from the noise and the axes, pulling back into the deepest parts of the earth. They are said to be sleeping now, their bodies merged with the thick root systems of the oldest trees, waiting for a time when the forests are in their greatest peril, ready to be called upon once more to restore balance to the world. Now, let's leave the whispering woods and travel high into the world's oldest, most remote mountain ranges. Here, another type of giant dwells, the giants of stone and mountain. These beings are as solid and unyielding as the peaks they call home. Their bodies are forged from the very bedrock of the earth, their skin a rugged tapestry of granite, basalt, and quartz. This natural armor is so thick and dense that even the sharpest weapons would just glance off, barely leaving a scratch. For centuries, these stone giants lie dormant, slumbering inside vast, hidden caverns. They blend so perfectly with the surrounding rock that you could walk right past one and never know it was there. But their awakening is an event of cataclysmic proportions. The shifting of a single stone giant can trigger massive avalanches, sending rock and snow cascading down the slopes, powerful enough to reshape entire mountain ranges in an instant. Their voices are not spoken, but felt, a deep, guttural rumble that sounds like distant thunder. It echoes through the cliffs and valleys, carrying an ancient, undeniable authority. They are not just inhabitants of the mountains. They are the sculptors, using their chisel-like fingers. They carve the towering cliffs and jagged peaks, creating the breathtaking and often mystifying geological formations that we see today. Modern geologists might have theories, but the legends say it was the hands of stone giants that shaped these natural wonders. Ancient tribes who lived in the shadows of these mountains revered them. They didn't see them as creatures, but as the living spirits of the mountains themselves. Shrines were built in their honor, offerings left at the mouths of caves, hoping to appease the powerful beings who slept within the rock. Imagine the awe and terror of witnessing one of these giants on the move. Their massive shadows would stretch for miles, blanketing entire landscapes as they strode down from the highest peaks. Unlike the more agile forest giants, stone giants are incredibly slow. Their movements are measured, ponderous, reflecting the geological time scale they operate on. But with this slowness comes an almost infinite patience and a wisdom that is said to surpass the ages. They are beings of permanence and stability. However, they are not without their temper. While they can sleep through centuries of calm, they are roused to fury by one thing: violent lightning storms, the crackle of electricity in the air, and the flash of light against the rock awakens a primal rage within them. When a stone giant is stirred by a storm, the mountains themselves seem to tremble in response. Around the world, many mountains bear strange marks and scarce unusual lines, deep grooves, and peculiar formations that defy simple explanation. Legends persist that these are the marks left behind by the colossal hands of the stone giants, a lasting testament to their role as the primary architects of our planet's topography. Their stories suggest that before humans, before much of life as we know it, these giants were shaping the very foundation of our world, from the vibrant, living guardians of the forests to the stoic, timeless sculptors of the mountains. These legends of giants paint a picture of a world more magical and alive than we can imagine. They remind us that the earth beneath our feet and the trees that tower over us might hold secrets far older and grander than we know. Perhaps the next time you're in nature, you'll feel it to the faint echo of a giant's footstep, or the rumble of a sleeping stone titan. Imagine a world where giants walk, not in fairy tales, but in the most extreme environments on our planet. Let's journey first to the scorching deserts, a place where life clings desperately to existence. Here, beneath the blazing sun, roamed beings of immense scale. Their skin, the color of bronzed metal, shimmered in the heat, a testament to bodies evolved to withstand temperatures that would prove instantly fatal to almost any other creature. These desert giants were masters of their domain. They didn't just survive, they thrived. Imagine their thirst, quenched not by a simple spring, but by enormous oases, vast bodies of water large enough to sustain entire towns. Explorers who stumbled upon these shimmering pools were left speechless, unable to comprehend the scale of the being that must have drank from them. Their every step was an event. The very ground, the endless dunes of sand, would shift and groan under their weight. With a single stride, they created temporary valleys, reshaping the landscape in their wake. How did they navigate this ever-changing world? Not with maps or compasses, but by the stars. They possessed an innate knowledge of celestial patterns, a secret language written in the night sky that guided them with perfect accuracy. Their connection to the desert was so profound. It was as if the environment itself responded to them. Sandstorms, powerful and sudden, would seem to erupt from nowhere as they passed, a whirlwind of dust and grit announcing their presence. The nomadic tribes that shared this harsh land had their own stories. They spoke of encounters at dusk, when the fading light plays tricks on the eyes. They would see these colossal figures moving on the horizon, and mistake them for spirits of the dunes, ancient gods of the sand. The evidence of their passage lingered long after they were gone. Their footprints, depressions hundreds of meters across, would over time become part of the landscape itself. Wind and sand would fill them, transforming them into hidden basins that collected rare rainwater, or carving them into secret passages through the dunes, known only to those who dared to follow. Legends whispered that some of these giants were guardians. They didn't hoard gold or jewels, but something far more precious in the desert: water. They were said to stand watch over secret wells, hidden deep beneath the earth, containing ancient, life-preserving water, pure and untouched for millennia. They were solitary beings, their existence stretching across endless horizons. In the vast, silent emptiness of the desert, they found all the companionship they needed. But they were not always silent. Their roars were said to be the voice of the desert itself, a deep, resonant sound that could stir the very winds summoning the powerful storms that would sweep across the land, reshaping entire regions and wiping the slate clean. Though ages have passed, the legends persist. They suggest that these giants of the sand are not gone, merely sleeping. They roam still, deep beneath the shifting dunes, in a slumber as long as the desert's memory, waiting for a day when the sands will call them forth once more. Now, let's leave the sun-scorched earth and plunge into an entirely different realm, the deep, mysterious abyss of the world's oceans. Here, in the crushing dark, lived another kind of giant, beings whose size dwarfed even the great whales, the largest animals we know today. They moved through the crushing pressure and cold with an impossible silence, like mountains adrift in the endless night. Their movements were a paradox of power and grace. Enormous limbs, larger than any ship, would flow through the currents, their slightest motion capable of creating powerful underwater storms that could churn the seabed for miles. Yet, they swam with a gentle, hypnotic rhythm, and in that darkness, they created their own light, bioluminescent patterns, intricate and ever-changing, would glow across their skin. They didn't just illuminate the depths, they painted them with swirling ribbons of pale, ethereal light, a silent, moving aurora in the heart of the ocean. Nature itself adorned them. Vast forests of kelp, reaching up from the ocean floor, would wrap around their arms and bodies like living jewelry, swaying in the currents they created. They were one with their environment, colossal kings and queens of a hidden, vertical world. Their voices were not sounds as we know them, but something far more fundamental. Deep, rumbling vibrations that traveled for hundreds of miles through the water, a form of communication understood only by the other ancient creatures of the deep. A low hum that was the very pulse of the ocean. These giants were explorers of a lost world. They roamed through sunken ruins, the cities of forgotten civilizations swallowed by the sea countless eons ago. They would glide silently past crumbling temples and toppled statues, the sole witnesses to a history buried beneath the waves. Life was drawn to them. Huge schools of fish, millions strong, would gather and move with them, swirling around their immense forms as if guided by an ancient, primal instinct to follow their gentle, protective presence. They were shepherds of the sea, their passage a source of life and movement. They were also protectors of the world above. When violent storms raged on the surface, churning the sea into a fury, legend says the ocean giants would rise from the depths. They would position themselves just beneath the turbulent waves, their immense bodies acting as a buffer, calming the waters and protecting the coastlines. Sailors, The rare few who ventured far from shore would return with incredible tales. They spoke of seeing massive silhouettes at dawn or dusk, dark shapes that blotted out the horizon. They would mistake them for shifting islands or new continents rising from the sea, never daring to believe the truth of what they saw. Their homes were as grand as they were. Deep-sea caves, vast cathedrals carved by time and pressure, were their sanctuaries. These caves weren't dark, but filled with glowing crystals and covered in ancient carvings. A library of their long history etched into the rock for centuries. The ocean has kept the secrets of these giants hidden from the world. Only the bravest explorers, in the deepest diving vessels, have caught fleeting glimpses of the truth. Yet, their presence has always been felt. Their influence echoes through the myths and legends of countless coastal cultures. From the kraken and the leviathan to the gentle sea gods of ancient lore, they are the source of our deep, instinctual awe and fear of the ocean's mysteries. From the sun-baked sands to the crushing deep, these legends of giants remind us that our world may still hold wonders beyond our wildest imagination. Perhaps they are just stories, born from the awe our ancestors felt for the power of nature. Or perhaps, just perhaps, in the planet's most remote corners, giants still walk and swim and sleep. Have you ever looked up at the clouds and imagined what might live among them? Or peered into the fiery heart of a volcano and wondered about the forces that sleep within? Ancient myths and legends from across the world are filled with tales of colossal beings, titans of nature who shaped the very world we live in. Today, we are going to journey into these forgotten realms and explore the stories of two incredible types of giants, the ethereal guardians of the sky and the molten masters of the earth. These aren't just characters from fairy tales. They are powerful symbols of the world's most awe-inspiring natural phenomena. So, get ready to look at the sky and the ground beneath your feet in a completely new way. Let's begin our adventure high above the tallest mountain peaks, in a realm unseen by ordinary eyes. Here, among towering fortresses made of clouds, lived the sky giants. Imagine being so impossibly tall that their heads brushed against the edge of the atmosphere, yet so light they seemed sculpted from pure air and sunlight. They didn't walk on solid ground, they drifted through the heavens, masters of the very air we breathe. With a simple, sweeping gesture of their enormous hands, they could command the winds, shifting entire weather patterns across continents. A gentle wave could bring a soft, cooling breeze to a sun-scorched land, while a forceful sweep could gather the clouds for a coming storm. The sound of their footsteps wasn't a thud, but a deep, resonant thunder that rolled across the open sky, a majestic announcement of their passage. Their homes were as magical as they were. The sky giants constructed ethereal palaces from condensed mist and solidified twilight. These structures weren't built of stone or wood, but of the stuff of dreams, shimmering like colossal silver lanterns hanging against the horizon. At dawn and dusk, these cloud kingdoms would catch the sun's rays, glowing in brilliant shades of gold, pink, and orange. And what of their banners? They didn't need fabric. Instead, they used pure energy. Brilliant lightning bolts would flash across the heavens, serving as their flags, signaling their presence and their mood to anyone who knew how to read the language of the storm. From these incredible vantage points, thousands of miles high, they observed the world below. They watched the turning of the ages, the rise and fall of mountains, and the comings and goings of civilizations with a calm, ancient wisdom that came from witnessing time itself unfold. They weren't just observers, but active participants in the world's great dance. They were not alone in their lofty domain. Flocks of birds, from the smallest sparrows to the mightiest eagles, followed them as loyal companions. These birds weren't just flying randomly. They moved in unison with the giants, forming intricate, swirling patterns in the air, a living, breathing tapestry that decorated the sky. It was said that the birds were a gift to the giants, a connection to the smaller lives on the earth below. The few human travelers of old who dared to venture into the highest, most remote mountains sometimes claimed to have seen them. Their accounts, passed down through generations, became mythic tales of miraculous storms and sudden, clear skies. They spoke of seeing a hand part the clouds or hearing a voice that sounded like the wind itself. Because of their influence over the weather, these sky giants were revered as the guardians of the seasons. They were seen as the ones responsible for the life-giving cycles of rain and sunlight. Their movements dictated the coming of spring rains, the heat of summer, the gentle winds of autumn, and the cold stillness of winter. Farmers would look to the skies, not just for weather signs, but for omens from the cloud dwellers. A gentle, rumbling thunder wasn't a threat. It was heard as the giants' laughter, rolling across the clouds. It was a sound that was said to lift the spirits of those who heard it, a reminder of the power and joy that existed high above. Though we may not see them today, their cloud kingdoms remain. They are hidden from our modern, hurried view, visible only to those who still take a moment to lie back, look up at the sky, and dare to dream above the clouds. Now, let's descend from the airy heights and travel deep into the Earth's core, to a world of fire and raw, elemental power. Here, born from the molten lava churning within the hearts of volcanic mountains, we find the fire giants. These were not beings of light and air. They were living embodiments of heat and primal energy. Imagine bodies that didn't reflect light, but created it, glowing with a fiery intensity that could melt solid stone with their mere presence. Their skin was like cooling magma, cracked and seamed with lines of brilliant orange and red. Where they walked, rivers of lava flowed behind them like obedient, fiery serpents, reshaping the land with each eruption. They were not destroyers for the sake of it. They were creators, sculpting new mountains and islands from the planet's molten blood. The heart of an active volcano was their forge. Here, in chambers of unimaginable heat, they crafted monumental weapons and tools, using materials unknown and unworkable to humankind. They hammered out swords that could cleave mountains and shields that could withstand any force. The clang of their hammers was the deep, seismic grumble of a volcano preparing to erupt. Smoke and ash would often wrap around their towering forms, creating shifting silhouettes that looked like living flames dancing against the red-hot backdrop of their home. When they moved across the land, their footsteps left behind trails of scorched earth and glassy obsidian, scars on the landscape that took centuries to cool and for life to return. It is no wonder that ancient tribes who lived in the shadows of these mountains feared their volcanic rage. Yet, this fear was mixed with a deep respect. While they dreaded the destructive power of an eruption, they also knew that the same ash that rained down from the sky would eventually create the most fertile soil imaginable. They saw the fire giants not just as forces of destruction, but as bringers of renewal and life. When a fire giant awakened from its slumber, the volcano would roar in response, spewing ash and molten rock into the sky in a terrifying and magnificent display. It was a sign that the land was being reborn. According to some of the oldest stories, it was these fiery beings who first taught early civilizations the secrets of fire. They inspired the first blacksmiths, who tried to mimic the giants' work in their own small forges, and guided alchemists who sought to understand the transformative power of heat. These giants were more than just masters of their volcanic domains. They were said to be the guardians of the entire planet's fiery core. Ancient myths tell of even more dangerous, chaotic forces lurking in the deepest parts of the earth. And it was the fire giants who stood guard, keeping them in check. Their sheer presence, the immense heat and power radiating from them, was enough to ignite entire landscapes with a glowing, primal energy. You can picture it, a dormant mountain suddenly beginning to glow from within, not because it's about to erupt, but because the giant inside has simply stirred in its sleep. Though they are rarely seen in our modern world, some believe they are not gone. They say the fire giants still lurk inside dormant volcanoes, their immense power slumbering, waiting for a time when their flame is needed once again to reshape the world or protect it from a forgotten threat. From the weightless, weather-wielding giants of the clouds to the molten, earth-shaping titans of the volcanoes, these stories do more than just entertain us. They connect us to the immense and untamable forces of nature. They remind us that the world is filled with wonder, power, and mystery. The thunder in a storm might just be the footsteps of a giant, and the rumble of a distant mountain might be the sound of a sleeping titan turning over. These myths give a face and a story to the phenomena that are so much bigger than we are, allowing us to relate to them with awe and respect, rather than just fear. They encourage us to look at the world with a sense of imagination, to see the magic in a passing cloud or the ancient power in a rocky mountain. What do you think? Do these tales resonate with you? Can you imagine these colossal beings still existing, hidden from our view? Perhaps the next time you're caught in a rainstorm or see a news report about a volcanic tremor, you'll think of the sky giants and fire giants, the ancient guardians of our world's most powerful forces. The world is full of stories, and sometimes the most fantastic ones are the ones that help us understand reality. Legends from every corner of the globe whisper of an age when giant kings ruled over lost civilizations. These weren't just rulers. They were architects of the impossible. Imagine cities built not with cranes and machinery, but by colossal hands that shaped mountains and lifted stones the weight of entire buildings. Their temples didn't just touch the clouds, they rivaled the peaks of natural mountains. Their surfaces glowing with gems and precious metals that captured the sunlight, creating beacons visible for miles. These giant kings were more than just physically powerful. They were said to possess wisdom far beyond their time, guiding generations with advanced knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and philosophy. They were the ultimate protectors, using their incredible strength to defend their people from monstrous beasts and invading armies that threatened to plunge the world into chaos. Scribes dedicated their lives to chronicling the deeds of these kings, carving their histories into enormous stone tablets. These records, rumored to be buried deep beneath the earth, are the lost libraries of a forgotten era, holding secrets that could rewrite everything we know about our past. Where did this incredible power come from? Myths often describe these giant kings as descendants of divine beings, tasked with a sacred mission to guide early humanity toward a brighter future. They were shepherds of civilization, nurturing its growth and protecting it from harm. But this golden age was not destined to last forever. What happened to these magnificent rulers? The stories diverge, painting a picture of both tragedy and mystery. Some legends speak of catastrophic wars between rival giant kingdoms, battles so destructive they shook the very foundations of the world, leaving behind nothing but ruins and sorrow. Entire civilizations vanished in the blink of an eye, swallowed by the earth or erased by weapons of unimaginable power. Other tales suggest a more heartbreaking end. As humanity grew in number and ambition, fear and envy began to creep in. Humans, once protected by the giants, turned against their benefactors. Fearing their power and coveting their knowledge, they drove the giant kings away. Betrayed and saddened, these rulers retreated into hidden realms, other dimensions, or secret sanctuaries deep within the earth, vowing never to interfere in human affairs again. All that remains are the echoes of their existence, scattered across deserts and mountains. You can find colossal ruins and mysterious structures that defy modern explanation. Some even bear markings that look eerily like giant fingerprints. Forever etched into stone, their stories now live on as myths. Tales of a golden age when the world was filled with wonder and prosperity. Though lost to time, their legacy continues to shape our greatest legends. From the titans of Greek mythology to the Jotun of Norse lore, the idea of these great kings reminds us that our history might be far grander and more mysterious than we ever imagined. But not all giants were kings, and not all of them sought to build empires. In another corner of these ancient tales, we find a different kind of giant, one that chose a different path, deep in remote, untouched valleys, far beyond the reach of modern explorers. There lived a society of giants who were not rulers of men, but guardians of nature. These were the protectors of the hidden valleys. Picture giants whose bodies were not clad in armor, but adorned with living things, flowers blooming in their hair, moss growing on their skin like a soft, green cloak, and animal companions nesting peacefully on their shoulders. They moved with a profound gentleness, their steps so careful that they never harmed even the smallest insect beneath their colossal feet. They were one with the world around them. Their connection to nature was magical. Wherever these gentle giants walked, life blossomed in their wake. Flowers bloomed in vibrant, impossible colors, and trees grew to extraordinary heights. They were the gardeners of the planet, nurturing the world's wildest places. Animals, often fearful of larger creatures, trusted them completely. Birds would land on their hands, deer would gather round their feet, and even the most fearsome predators would approach them as if greeting an ancient, trusted friend. These giants were the heart of their ecosystems, ensuring that delicate balances were maintained, even as the outside world faced changing climates and rising threats. They intentionally avoided human contact, not out of malice, but out of a deep-seated fear. They knew that human ambition and greed could disrupt their sacred duty. They had watched from afar as civilizations rose and fell, and they understood the destructive potential of mankind. Their goal was simple: to protect the last pristine sanctuaries of the natural world from our influence. But they were not passive observers. Travelers who accidentally wandered too close to these hidden valleys often reported a strange, peaceful presence guiding them away, a feeling of being gently turned back without ever knowing why. It was the giants, subtly protecting their homes and the wanderers from a world they were not meant to see. Their wisdom was different from the kings of old. It wasn't written in books or carved on stone. It was a living wisdom, shaped by millennia of watching nature's cycles, of understanding the language of the wind and the rhythm of the seasons. They were fierce defenders when their valleys were truly threatened. If a destructive force, whether natural or man-made, encroached upon their sacred lands, they would rise to defend it with an unimaginable strength. A force of nature fighting for nature itself. Ancient legends describe them as Earth's silent guardians, unseen yet ever present. The quiet protectors of life's purest forms. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That even now, somewhere out there, in a valley no map will ever show, these guardians might still be watching over us. Perhaps they are waiting for a time when the world truly needs them. A time when humanity finally learns to value the natural world as they do. From the mighty kings who built impossible cities, to the gentle guardians who nurtured secret paradises, the legends of giants offer us a glimpse into a world filled with awe and wonder.
Have you ever gazed at the moonlit plains and felt a presence you couldn't quite explain? Or listened to the deep rumbles of the earth and wondered what secrets lie beneath? Today we journey into the realm of myth and imagination to explore two legendary types of giants, those who walk under the moon and those who dwell in the heart of the world. Imagine a vast open plain, bathed in the soft silver glow of the moon. Here, giants with skin the color of pale moonlight roam with an unmatched elegance. Their towering forms don't loom or threaten. Instead, they shimmer as if woven from the very light that surrounds them. They move with a profound silence that contradicts their immense size, gliding across the fields like living shadows. It's a sight that would steal your breath away, not with fear, but with awe. These are the giants of the moonlit plains, guardians of the night's tranquility. They are not creatures of destruction. They are beings of balance. They hunt only what they need, moving with a deep respect for the delicate ecosystems of their serene home. Their most enchanting feature, however, is not their appearance, but their voice. Legends say their hauntingly beautiful songs echo through the open plains, a melody so pure it calms all who hear it, animals and humans alike. It's said that even predators like wolves and timid creatures like deer gather near them, drawn by their peaceful, calming presence. They are the embodiment of harmony, avoiding conflict and living as one with all creatures of the night. Have you ever heard old farmers' tales, whispered around a crackling fire? Some speak of glimpsing these giants at dusk, standing perfectly still like ancient statues as the moon begins its ascent into the night sky. They are not just passive observers of the night. They are active participants in its cosmic dance. During significant lunar cycles, they perform mesmerizing dances. Their graceful movements a celebration of the changing tides of the night sky. As they dance, their immense shadows stretch across the plains, creating intricate, moving patterns that ancient peoples might have mistaken for divine symbols or celestial maps. In these legends, the moonlit giants are more than just colossal beings. They are seen as symbols of tranquility, the guiding spirits of the land during its most silent, reflective hours. They are described as the walking embodiments of moonlight itself, spectral and ethereal, existing only when the world is still and the night is deep. They remind us that even in the vast, quiet darkness, there can be a profound and gentle beauty, a silent strength that watches over the world. They are the poets of the plains, the silent singers of the moon's song. Now, let's journey from the open, airy plains to the deep, hidden heart of our world. Far beneath the surface, in a realm of eternal darkness, live the underground earth giants. These are beings of an entirely different nature. Their bodies, shaped from stone and shadow, are so perfectly formed that they blend flawlessly with the cavern walls. They are the architects of the underworld, carving colossal tunnels and vast caverns using only their bare hands. These are not just simple burrows. They are immense, sprawling networks that stretch for countless miles, a hidden geography beneath our feet. How does a civilization thrive without a single ray of sunlight? Their subterranean cities are not dark and grim. They are lit by massive, glowing crystals that they cultivate, which cast shimmering, ethereal patterns across the high stone ceilings. Imagine a city that glitters with the light of 1,000 captured stars, deep within the earth. To navigate this world, these giants have developed extraordinary senses. They can feel the slightest vibration, hear the faintest echo, and sense the subtle shifts in air pressure, moving with a confidence that daylight dwellers could never comprehend. Have you ever felt a sudden, unexplained tremor, a slight shudder of the ground beneath you? While we might blame geological activity, ancient lore suggests it could be the movements of these giants, shifting their positions in their deep hidden kingdom. They are the master artisans of the deep. They shape rare minerals and precious stones into sacred relics, believed to hold immense ancient power. For centuries, human miners, digging into the earth's crust, have reported hearing distant, rhythmic movements, a deep, resonant thudding they often dismiss as natural cave sounds or the settling of rock. But what if it was the sound of the earth giants at work in their hidden forges? These giants are not just inhabitants of the deep. They are its guardians. Legends say they protect the Earth's most profound secrets, ensuring the balance of the planet's very core. They are the keepers of ancient treasures, artifacts, and knowledge hidden away from the world above, safe from greed and conflict. All around the world, from the caves of Lascaux to the mysterious caverns of the Americas, ancient markings and paintings can be found. Some theorists and mystics believe these markings hint at ancient encounters with these mysterious subterranean beings, a lost chapter in human history. Their realm remains one of the most untouchable and mysterious places on Earth, a world that exists in parallel to our own, just beneath our feet. They are a reminder of the planet's hidden depths and the mysteries that lie beyond our perception. While the moonlit giants represent the serene, visible beauty of the night sky, the earth giants embody the powerful, hidden forces that shape our world from within. They are the silent heart of the planet, the keepers of its deepest, most ancient truths. So, the next time you find yourself under a full moon, look out across the quiet landscape and listen. You might just hear a faint, beautiful song on the wind. And when you feel the solid ground beneath you, take a moment to consider the vast, hidden world below and the silent giants who may be shaping it. The world is full of more wonder than we can possibly imagine, both above and below.
What if I told you that ancient legends speak of a time when giants walked the earth, not as monsters, but as colossal architects and brilliant scholars? Let's start with the lost tribe of the giant scholars. Deep within fog-covered mountains, there lived a tribe of giants, renowned not for their brute strength, but for their immense intellect. Imagine towering cliffside libraries carved into the very rock, holding scrolls that documented forgotten ages and cosmic secrets. These giants were the first astronomers. They studied the stars, galaxies, and the intricate dance of heavenly bodies, long before humans even thought to look up. They built huge stone instruments, monumental observatories that tracked celestial cycles with a precision that would rival modern technology. Think of them as the original scientists, their minds as vast as their physical forms. Their reputation for wisdom was legendary. Humans, small and curious, would undertake perilous journeys, traveling great distances just to seek their counsel. To be granted an audience was a great honor. To those they deemed worthy, the giants taught the foundations of civilization, complex mathematics, the secrets of astronomy, and the depths of philosophy. They weren't just teachers, they were guardians of knowledge, valuing peace above all else. They avoided conflict, dedicating their entire existence to study and contemplation. Their teachings rippled through the ancient world, subtly shaping the development of early human societies, the calendars we use. The way we navigate the sea traces of their wisdom can be found in these fundamental human achievements. But then, as mysteriously as they appeared in legend, they vanished. One era they were there, the wise custodians of the world's knowledge. The next, they were gone. Their magnificent libraries were left abandoned, silent testaments to a lost golden age. What happened to them? The mystery has fueled countless theories. Some believe their minds became so powerful that they ascended to a higher plane of existence, a realm of pure thought. Others whisper that they simply moved deeper into the mountains, retreating from the world to hide their profound wisdom from those who might misuse it. Their disappearance remains one of history's greatest and most tantalizing enigmas. Did they leave their knowledge behind for us to rediscover? Are their libraries still waiting, hidden somewhere in the remote corners of the world? Now, let's explore another, equally fascinating legend, the giants who helped build the world. According to this ancient lore, the very landscapes we see today were sculpted by the hands of giants. They were the planet's first engineers, the original terraformers. Picture them stacking enormous boulders with effortless ease, piling them one on top of the other to form the majestic mountain ranges that scrape the sky. The winding paths of great rivers, we're told, were carved by their wandering fingers as they journeyed across the land, searching for new territories. They possessed a strength that was creative, not destructive. With a single heave, they could uproot vast forests, clearing the way for fertile plains where future civilizations would one day flourish. The footprints they left behind during their long, continent-spanning migrations were so immense that they filled with water, becoming the great seas and oceans we know today. Canyons and sheer cliffs weren't accidents of erosion, but the remnants of their monumental construction projects. Even the Earth's most violent features were linked to them. Volcanoes in these stories erupted as a result of their attempts to harness and shape the planet's molten core. They weren't chaotic beings. They worked in a strange kind of harmony, building and shaping landscapes on a scale utterly unimaginable to humans. It's no wonder that many early civilizations didn't fear them, but worshipped them as creator gods, responsible for the natural wonders that surrounded them. Ancient stories even speak of incredible collaborations of human tribes working alongside these benevolent giants to achieve monumental tasks, perhaps building the first great cities or megalithic structures. Their legacy, this lore suggests, lives on all around us. It's in the strange, perfectly balanced rock formations, in the mountains that look like sleeping figures, and in the landmarks whose origins science still struggles to explain. They are remembered not as clumsy oafs, but as nature's architects, shaping the world with intention, purpose, and awe-inspiring power. So, as you look out at the world, at a mountain peak or a winding river, maybe you'll see it a little differently. Perhaps you'll see the faint echo of a giant's hand, the forgotten work of a cosmic scholar or a terrestrial architect. These tales remind us that our world might be filled with more wonder and mystery than we can ever truly comprehend.
From the nomadic wanderers of the steppes to the silent stone sentinels guarding ancient secrets, and finally, to the legend of the last giant left on Earth. These aren't just myths. They are echoes of a forgotten age, whispers of a world far grander than our own. So, get ready as we explore the legends of the titans who once ruled our planet. Let's begin our journey on the endless, rolling steppes of ancient times. This wasn't an empty land. It was the domain of the nomadic giants. Picture this: colossal figures, their silhouettes stark against the vast, open sky, traveling with herds of equally massive animals. Their entire world was one of constant movement, a celebration of freedom across the boundless grasslands. They didn't build cities of stone. Their homes were magnificent, portable tents, crafted from the hides of titanic beasts, hides said to be tougher than steel. Imagine the sheer scale of such a dwelling, a mobile fortress against the harsh winds of the plains. Their culture was deeply intertwined with the land and the creatures they herded. They were not conquerors, but guides. Their songs, deep and resonant, were more than just music. They were powerful calls that guided the migrations of both the giants and their enormous herds. These chants would echo for miles, a symphony of movement that kept the entire ecosystem in a state of harmonious flow. They were the ultimate conservationists, understanding the fragile balance of their environment. They took only what they needed to survive, ensuring the grasslands would flourish for generations to come. Their respect for nature was absolute, a core tenet of their existence. In a world without written language, their history and traditions were preserved through a powerful oral tradition. Around crackling fires inside their immense tents, elders would recount the tales of their ancestors, the laws of the herd, and the secrets of the stars. Each story was a thread in the rich tapestry of their culture, weaving together generations of wisdom. They deliberately avoided permanent settlements, believing that to build upon the land was to scar it. For them, the earth itself was sacred, a living entity that shouldn't be confined or owned. The idea of a city was alien to them. Freedom was their home. Naturally, The smaller human tribes who shared these lands viewed them with a mixture of awe and fear. They were revered for their incredible strength and their deep, almost mystical wisdom. The giants were not hostile, but their sheer presence was intimidating. Yet, many human tribes learned from them, observing their patterns and respecting their territories. The paths worn into the earth by the giants' immense footprints and the migrations of their herds became the first great trade routes and travel ways for early human civilizations. Their movements literally carved the map of the ancient world. The presence of these nomadic giants profoundly shaped the development of early cultures along the steppes. Their stories became human myths, their wisdom became human laws, and their relationship with nature became a model for survival. Even today, as the wind blows across those vast, empty plains, some say you can still hear the faint, rumbling echoes of their chants, a ghostly reminder of the giants who once roamed free, though their people have long since vanished, disappearing like mist in the morning sun. Their stories remain embedded in the very soil, carried on the wind, and living on in the legends they left behind. Now, let's travel from the open plains to the shadows of forgotten history, to places where ancient ruins crumble under the weight of time. Here, we find a different kind of giant, the guardians of ancient ruins. These were not beings of flesh and blood, but magnificent figures carved from living stone, created to protect the sacred sites of long-lost civilizations. For uncounted centuries, they stood watch, motionless and silent, their forms so perfectly integrated with the temple walls and grand archways that they appeared to be mere decoration. They were the ultimate sentinels, blending seamlessly into the architecture they were sworn to protect. But they were far from simple statues. They would remain dormant, sometimes for thousands of years, until danger approached. When intruders with greed in their hearts, be it for treasure or forbidden knowledge, drew near, the guardians would awaken. Imagine the terror of a thief seeing a stone face 10 times the size of a man suddenly turn. And then its eyes would begin to glow, igniting with a fierce, fiery brilliance that promised swift retribution. These were not just guards. They were avatars of the temple's wrath, brought to life to defend its secrets. Legends say they were the creations of powerful ancient sorcerers, imbued with magic to serve as eternal protectors. They were programmed with a single, unwavering purpose: to defend the secrets held within the ruins. And what secrets they were! Knowledge that could rewrite history, magic that could reshape reality, or truths about the universe that humanity was not yet ready to comprehend. The Guardians were the locks on these vaults of ancient wisdom. They fought with the unyielding strength of stone, swatting away intruders as if they were insects. Even the planet itself couldn't defeat them. It's said that earthquakes that leveled entire cities couldn't topple these monumental stone bodies. This is why some ancient ruins remain completely inaccessible to this day. Modern explorers and archaeologists know the legends, and they know that some stories have a basis in truth. They speak of silent zones, areas where technology fails and a palpable sense of being watched pervades the air. Many fear awakening these silent guardians and choose to avoid the areas where the legends are strongest. Who would dare risk disturbing a protector that has stood watch for millennia? These stone giants have preserved history far more effectively than any human effort ever could. Museums can be robbed, and books can be burned, but a 50-foot-tall guardian of living rock is a different challenge altogether. And so, their watch continues. In the quiet, forgotten corners of the world, hidden in dense jungles or perched on inaccessible mountain peaks, they remain, silent, patient, and ever vigilant. They are the guardians of our collective past, a final, unbreachable defense against those who would plunder history for their own selfish gain. They stand as a testament to a time when magic was real and giants, even those of stone, walked the earth. They are the silent keepers of yesterday, guarding our past from the reckless hands of today. From the memory of nomadic tribes and the stillness of stone guardians, we arrive at our final, most poignant tale, the story of the last giant on Earth. Legends from the world's most remote corners whisper of a lone, solitary giant who still walks our planet, the final, living remnant of an ancient and noble age. He is the last of his kind, a walking relic in a world that has forgotten him. He doesn't seek power or attention. He wanders through secluded mountain ranges and deep, old-growth forests, searching not for a place to call home, but for the fading memories of his long-lost kin. His connection to the natural world is profound. As he moves, the ancient forests seem to recognize his presence. Trees gently part to let him pass, their branches rustling in a soft greeting. Rivers, once raging torrents, flow quietly round his feet, acknowledging the last of the world's old guardians. The animals of the wild are not afraid of him. Instead, they trail behind him, a loyal procession of creatures big and small, drawn to his ancient, sorrowful energy. He is a king without a kingdom, a shepherd without a flock, yet all of nature still pays him homage. This last giant is a living library of forgotten knowledge. He carries within him the history of eras that predate human civilization, memories of the world's creation, the songs of the stars, and the languages of creatures now extinct. He has witnessed the rise and fall of mountains, the shifting of continents, and the dawn of humanity. All the ages that no history book could ever record are alive within his mind. But this knowledge comes with a heavy burden. He is often hidden by thick mist and low-hanging clouds, rarely allowing himself to be seen by human eyes. He has seen what the modern world can do and prefers solitude. Despite his isolation, he has not abandoned his purpose. He has taken it upon himself to be the protector of the Earth's most fragile ecosystems. He silently guards them from the threats of the modern world, from deforestation, pollution, and unchecked expansion. He is the planet's final giant guardian, a silent warrior fighting for a world that no longer remembers him. His immense sadness is a tangible force, an echo that rolls through lonely valleys and across desolate peaks, a constant mourning for the loss of his kind and the world they once knew. Yet, through his grief, he remains dedicated to his sacred duty. He is the last witness, the final link to an age of wonder and magic. And through his solitary existence, the incredible legacy of the giants lives on. He is a walking, breathing monument to a time when titans shaped the land and communed with nature. As long as he wanders our world's hidden places, the spirit of the giants is not truly gone. He is the last verse of an epic poem, a story of power, wisdom, and loss still being written in the lonely landscapes of our planet. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of giants. If you enjoyed exploring these lost legends, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more adventures into myth and mystery. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. We'd love to hear which giant's story fascinated you the most, so leave a comment below. Until next time, keep wondering.